Previously on the Sunless Citadel.
The mouth of the dragon starts to move. A booming, growling voice echoes throughout the room.
We come at night without being fetched. We disappear by day without being stolen. What are we?
Mortis, would you like to tell the dragon our answer?
Mr. Dragon, sir.
Yes, it is I, the dragon!
Is the answer stars?
Secret tunnel!
You guys find yourselves in this large hall. Each alcove has what it seems to be a statue. This statue is depicting armor over top of robes.
It's strange. I sort of recognize these sort of garbs, but they were different from the sort of cultists of the dragons that I knew.
Well, don't worry, my friend. They're all gone now, and you'll be safe.
It shouldn't frighten more than me.
Throughout the vastness of the multiverse, there lies a tavern. As you approach its doors, you catch bubbles of laughter that rise and burst into cheers as colorful groups of travelers find comfort in their bonds. As you head inside, the smile of the tavern keeper greets you. They're an otherworldly being with a bluish, corporeal form. They wear attire befitting of an innkeeper, and they have a large, cloudy nebula for hair speckled with stars, which gently sways with their movement.
Welcome to the Storyteller's Tavern, where stories are served like ale and a seat is open for you at every table. Tonight's special is the Sunless Citadel, an epic adventure of high fantasy with notes of friendship, danger, and most importantly, hope. Will our adventure survive the descent into the dungeon? Or is there a darker calamity taking roots far from the sun's reach?
Roll for initiative. Mortis.
-1. I got a 16.
Thorn.
Thorn got a 24. You got a natural 20.
Nice.
Ooh, ooh.
Methuselah.
22.
And Seeker.
22 as well.
Top of the round. Thorn.
Thorn's gonna look at the creature, and his eyes kind of glow violet, and the little laughing pixies start to appear as he casts the cantrip Vicious Mockery. So that creature needs to make a wisdom saving throw.
19.
That passes. So Thorn stares at him and goes,
You attack Mortis! That is very bad, you will starve!
Anything else?
When he notices that the spell doesn't work, he hides behind Mortis. And I believe that's all I can do. Yes.
Methuselah, your turn.
I'm going to cast Cause Fear onto this creature. So can he make a wisdom save?
New spell, who dis?
Does a 17 pass?
Fuck yeah.
It's not affected by it.
So basically, as Methuselah plays on Yorick, the sound is very janky and macabre, and the shadows kind of darken as the strings become green, and then the shadows themselves also turn green, and they kind of cast low light on Methuselah's face, making it look way more skull-like and frightening. But that doesn't really do much.
Small raspy laughter comes from the top of that statue. You think that a scary jig would do anything to quell my thirst for your life?
And then Methuselah's gonna do a kink on the thing as it failed, so I kind of stop. And then the strings are gonna kind of go more rainbowy, and then I'm gonna say,
Well, no, but I think a knife from our cat friend here might do a lot more.
and I'm going to give Bardic Inspiration to Seeker. Oh, yeah. Stab a bit.
Seeker, your turn.
Seeker's gonna use their insightful fighting, so that's gonna be an 11 for the insight.
That passes. All right, you got it.
Yeah. So then, because sneak attack uses finesse or ranged weapons, Seeker has their rapier, and they're going to kind of stab at the thing.
Roll for the attack.
Yeah. 'Twas a natural 20.
Hey.
+6.
All right, yeah, that's a hit. Roll for the damage.
That's gonna be 13 damage.
How do you want to do this?
Kidding.
So Seeker's gonna run the rapier right through them and kind of throw it backwards.
As you approach, the little creature goes,
And finally the first one. Come, let the demon minion take you up!
and you thrust him with the rapier faster than he could finish his thought. Then you just throw it backwards, and it's just a parabola of the body just whoo, and landing in the distance. And it goes flat.
Let's just take a moment to celebrate. Woo!
You murdered a creature.
I love how it was literally the moment of, I've waited years for this. Now is my time, dead.
That was the end of the combat. Good job, guys. With the light of the torch, you guys can see where it's splatted. You guys look at the body, and you see its grotesque little body just bleeding on the floor with this black ichor like making a small pool. And then the entire body starts to sizzle and joining the ichor and becoming just a very grotesque pool of gunk on the very spot, to then only the gunk quickly dry up and slowly pulverize and become nothing but a stain on the ground.
What would I roll for figuring out what kind of creature this is, and then number 2, figuring out why it would just dissolve into nothing?
Roll for me an intelligence check, because a religion would not make sense for Thorn.
Can I try one? Can I try a roll?
Sure, do a religion check.
Could I also roll a religion check?
Sure.
Sweet.
I'm the paladin, so I feel contractually obligated.
Thorn's intelligence check was a 16.
18.
14 for Seeker.
12 for Mortis.
Thorn, the same way that the boogeyman was a very cautionary tale for goblin kids not to be too difficult for their parents, there was always those horror stories that would be told around the fire of creatures that would be called daemons, and these are creatures of evil that are able to kill with no mercy, and they would feast on the blood of every single living thing, consuming the body and soul, and those evil monsters that are not of this world would sometimes even possess others to make these people do horrible things as well. And they were the worst and the most vile things that a creature could exist to be. And here's the thing, when they possess people, they would make people do horrible stuff. That's why when goblinoids would do something such as horrific as killing another goblinoid, some people would say that they were possessed by these vile creatures, these daemons. Only when the person was undergone a ritual, this creature would come out in their original form, that the whole tribe would gather to kill it. And when they kill it, the creature would dissolve, so their corruption would leave this world. And you remember these horror stories through painful memories and flashbacks of your past as you're trying so hard to understand this. For the rest of you guys, easily enough, you guys remember the stories of your own clergy and religion, where there are creatures of evil from an abyss, a world somewhere else, not of this world. And these creatures are vile, they are horrible, they are the worst aspects of being an individual could be. And characteristically, they do dissolve when they are defeated or killed.
Is there anything to loot?
No, there's just the stain on the ground of where it was left.
Ah,
Thorn looks at the stain and goes, "Bad things, terrible things, not one but two things, terrible, terrible things."
Mortis is gonna kind of grunt and like put his greatsword back in its sheath. Damned unholy creature.
Are you alright, friend?
He kind of like he has a moment like he sort of shifts from I'm an avenging paladin to I'm just grandpa. And he's like I'll be quite all right. Just poison isn't exactly a friend of mine.
I don't think poison's a friend of most people unless they're poisoners.
You would be surprised. Some can actually benefit from poison. Medicine is a kind of poison in a way.
Can Seeker do a little intelligence check there?
I'll allow either intelligence or medicine.
Okay. Because with what Mortis just said, Seeker knows that they're sick, right?
You don't feel good.
Yeah. Okay.
Going through it.
I rolled a 19 for my medicine, which would be the exact same as if I had rolled for intelligence. So if poison and medicine have links, wouldn't that potentially mean that you could use the poison in the antidote?
Well, thinking back on what my wife used to tell me about healing, normally when you're dealing with a sort of viral illness, the antidote or cure usually is derived from the source of the illness, so I suppose that would make some sort of sense. Perhaps when we have some more time we can concoct a sort of antidote for you and Thorn.
Unfortunately, I don't think there's anything to collect to help with your, poisoning. So, will you be okay, or is this something that we need to worry about?
Oh, no. You don't have to worry. Unfortunately, due to an encounter I had many years ago with a green dragon, an adolescent green dragon, my body has become naturally averse to poison damage, more so than other sorts. It's simply a part of my life now. Don't worry. I'll be all right.
All right, because I don't think we want you going down, because that won't end well for any of us. You're really strong, and you have the best connection with Thorn, and I don't want him to feel like he's going to get hurt if anything happens to you.
Oh, don't worry. I'll do my best to stay safe.
With that, I'll grant this because of the high check of the intelligence and medicine. Seeker also thinks how, hey, I could also use this as a weapon. What if I put the blood of these rats on my dagger? Could use that as a weapon against my enemies.
Meanwhile, they're kind of talking. Can I, you said there was something, at the foot of the archway?
Yes.
Can I check that out?
Yes. As you approach, your dark vision allows you to see past the extent of the light of the torch. Then as Methuselah gets close enough to the archway where you get to see the next room, and the next room seems to be mostly empty, with some sort of large ornate table on the very center of the room. And this table has some sort of sculpture on top of it. It's just difficult to see through the dim vision of your night vision. But what you get to see in full display is the very large Pitfall trap that is not even covered. It's just so big, about 20 feet long Pitfall trap that has some sort of liquid underneath, because your dim vision can see the very bottom moving, and there are spikes on the walls of this Pitfall.
I'll just turn back to the rest of the group and be like, "Oh, I think I found the next trap.
Well, I suppose it was only a matter of time. This place seems to be full of them. I'm getting kind of worried about the folks from my village that we were looking for. I really hope that they're okay.
Well, I'm sure if they're seasoned adventurers, they're probably fine. Hoping anyway.
Well, Faith is very, very smart. She's training to be a priestess of the Cat Lady, and even though she hasn't done very much adventuring, I think that her wit and her bravery will really help her out in here. Plus, she was with some really good folks as well.
So you said how long is it?
20 feet long.
Like,
Twice as big as the platform before.
Ooh, so getting across is gonna be real tough.
Calcustis Wall Run.
I don't think we can do that this time.
Can't because it's an archway.
I suppose we could, if we had some rope and something like a hook to throw across, we could try to sort of, rope our way across.
Well, I have some javelins. I'm not sure if that would work, but we could certainly worth a try.
Like, tie the rope to the javelins and throw the javelins and see if they stick into something?
Yes, something like that. Of course, we'd have to stick something in the ground here or somewhere secure just to make sure that the line would hold, but we should be able to figure that out.
Well, I have some rope that we could use.
It's one of the few things that I kept.
Could I use my eye for detail?
You want to do a perception check?
Yes.
What are you trying to perceive?
If there's any other way that we could do this. Like, if there's anything that would just, immediately stand out to Seeker.
I mean, it is a trap. I don't think this is a puzzle to get past.
No, all traps are puzzles.
You don't even need to do a check for me to better define the trap for you.
Okay.
So it's an alcove in the path of an archway. So you can't really walk because you're gonna fall. The walls are very well polished, so you don't have a grip on it. For you to get to the other side of the wall, it's a 20 feet jump. So and this place is 10 feet deep. Not that deep. You could technically just climb down and try to climb the other way. You have to contend with whatever liquid is on the bottom and the sharp spikes that if you don't have a good grip, it will hurt you and will make you fall back down onto whatever liquid it is down there.
Yeah, I don't think we should go down there. I don't think that would be a great idea.
No, I think that would be a dumb idea. So there's no way for me to climb the archway. Okay.
How close is the nearest statue to this sort of pit?
It is 10 feet away.
Mortis is gonna kind of take a look around, sort of rub his chin. Well, perhaps if we affixed a rope to that statue and I threw it across, hopefully it might get stuck and we can climb across.
I think that would be a good idea.
Yeah, I think so too. You're really intelligent, Mortis.
Well, don't praise me yet. Let's get across first.
Okay, right before we proceed with anything, just looking across the chasm to the other side, do I see any sort of structure or anything, any sort of dent or anything that might be able to hook something to?
There are very small cracks on the ground, on the other room. You need to be very accurate and very lucky to be able to hit one of those. And for it to be fixated well enough for you guys to be able to somehow, monkey bar your way down there.
So before Mortis, throws the javelin, Methuselah's gonna play a song on Yorick, which is the melody of a noble and brave man whose ambition led him and his wife to ruin, making all pride for naught. And then I'm going to kind of just touch you and just be on the shoulder and be like, well, good luck.
Thank you, my friend. Before he's gonna sort of be holding the javelin up, he's gonna glance back. Are we certain that it's been affixed properly to the statue? the other end of the rope.
You guys need to roll for that, actually. Whoever decides to do that, do for me a performance check with dexterity as its base.
I could do that.
Yeah, I think a rogue would be probably best.
It's gonna be a dirty 20.
Okay, now here's what I'm gonna do. Instead of you rolling against an AC, I'm going to think of a number for the difficulty class, the DC of this. If you roll higher than that, you're fixated just fine. If you roll a little bit below that, I'll say that you hit, but there's a chance of popping it off out of the crack and people falling. If you fail badly, it just doesn't get fixed.
You know what's nice is that you can keep trying if it doesn't like connect because the enhance ability like lasts like an hour.
True, and even if I like miss completely and it falls in, we could just pull it up by the rope.
Yeah, and use like another javelin if we need to.
Let's do this, kids. That would be an 18.
You go and put yourself in a form to throw a javelin, and to the best of your abilities, you throw the javelin. You see it being flying across the air, and then it hits the ground on the next room, and you just see the tip hit the ground and kicks back up, and it lands on the other room, and it doesn't get affixed into the ground.
Reel her in?
Oh yeah, I'm gonna try to like pull it back in. He's like, damn it. Sorry, my arm isn't what it used to be.
It's alright, you're doing well.
Just pay attention to what you're doing and let Methuselah's music guide you. I find I do better when I'm listening to Methuselah's music.
Do I retrieve it easily or?
Yeah, you just reel it in, and you do a bit quicker as it gets close to the pit because you don't want it to fall all the way down to whatever liquid is down there.
It's fishing with Mortis.
Gone fishing.
Alright, second time's the charm.
This reminds me of a fishing trip I went on with some folks from Cat Castle. It was a lot of fun. It was my family. Faith was there. It was so much fun.
That's a 17, so no.
Keep going.
Once again, it hits the other room, but it just flies outwards and lands normally.
I have a question. Can Thorn investigate the side of the pit that we're on? Because Thorn's thought process is like, if they made this pit so that people couldn't get into this room, then that'd be kind of dumb, because then how would people get into the room anyways? Like, what if the people who made the pit have to get into the room? How would they get into the room? So he's gonna like investigate like around the pit to see if maybe there's like a secret letter, or if there's like something to indicate how people would get across.
I'm gonna say that you can't investigate. The reason for that is because I don't want to falsely encourage you if there's nothing there to be found. There's just the wall.
Imagine these people could like teleport.
Or they could fly because they were dragons.
That's valid.
That was Mortis speaking.
As you're looking at the walls, just to see this weird, puzzling aspect in your brain, a very wide smile appears in your face. So wide that it hurts almost.
He'll open and check his book.
Pretty statues in alcoves. What if we push them to see them grow?
Where's the closest statue on our side?
There is the one that is tied, and then there's the one on the other side, because it's 3 alcoves left and right, and they are facing each other. So there's the one, I'm imagining the one that is tied is the one on the left wall. And then there's the one on the right wall. To be honest, you can go to either.
He'll go to the one that isn't tied, because Thorn is not wise, but he's not completely stupid. And he's gonna go over to that statue and just like look up at it. And he's gonna kind of like squeeze in and try to push it over.
With a bit of a squeeze, you're able to position yourself just behind it.
Thorn will place his hands on it and just give it a big shove.
You give a big shove. Do for me an athletics check.
A 14.
It takes quite a bit of your small little body, but you're able to move just enough so it kind of stays uneven on top of its platform. And then everybody gets scared with the sudden crash and crumble of the stone statue to the right of you guys. And Thorn is there just behind the platform of where the statue once was, and now it's completely shattered in front of it.
Thorn, are you all right? What happened?
That is very funny.
What are you doing? You could have been hurt, you fool.
On the same side, he's gonna go to the one further back, and he's gonna try to do the same thing.
And the Methuselah's gonna see that and be like, wait, I think that this might actually be a little smart. If we push these statues into the pit, it'll sort of make a bridge over the thing.
You go to the next one, and you position yourself to do the push.
Should I help?
You start to move towards it, but let's see if it happens before you.
11.
You can't really push it, maybe because this statue is heavier or the platform is more stable than the other one. So you put your back against the wall and you start to use it as support as you do your best to push this one until the world flips for you and you tumble backwards because you applied enough pressure on the wall to open the secret passage that was in one of the alcoves.
Or is gonna like, oh, wow, nicely done, Thorn. And he's gonna like untie the rope from the statue and the javelin and hand it back to Methuselah. Well, I'll be honest, I wasn't really thinking about a mechanism. I sort of just thought we'd have to climb, but this way is much easier.
This place is not the easiest to get around. I think that whoever built this was kind of crazy.
On that we agree, Seeker.
I imagine that because Thorn just fell into it, he just kind of just falls onto his back and is like, ah! And then he stands back up and brushes himself off and kind of is like, what? And looks around.
This place is a smaller room, much smaller compared to the hall that you guys were just in. Interestingly enough, there are hooks on the left wall of this new room. They are small hooks and they are not pointed in any way. It best reminds you of hooks that would put a cape or a cloak or a robe. And there is a small plaque on the very end of the room, and there is a small hallway on the right side. Like there is a little door, but without an actual door, just a small archway that leads down into a corridor of its own. And the plaque has runes engraved in it that reminds you of the first chamber that you guys entered in this room, based on Methuselah's earlier encounter with these engravings. It is a draconic message.
Thorn just kind of stands there perplexed, and he's gonna wait for everyone else, holding his torch, just kind of standing there.
Or is this gonna go sort of like peer over Thorn into the hallway? Oh, this doesn't bode well.
Thorn will point towards the plaque and be like, strange writings again.
I think we should go in and see. Methuselah, you could read Draconic, right?
Yes, I can. I'll read it.
You approach the other end of the room with this plaque. The plaque is clearly a warning, because when you read it in your mind, it says, "Beware, respect it and fear it, for a dragon priest entombed alive for transgressions against its master, under the law it still retains its honor and position. Long live the Empire. Long live the Dark Ward."
I think that's a wisdom save.
Go right ahead.
Do I know who this is? I think I
Just says Dragon Priest.
think I know who
Based
this
on
is.
your knowledge, there is a few households may have 1 to 5 Dragon Priests, which, by the way, is one of the highest positions within a dragon house for servants.
I got a 21. Woo!
The memory of this place flashes back to your eyes. But these were not rooms that you were here before. But you know for a fact now, this place either is or gives mention to the Dark Warden himself. You are not affected by your mental instability. You do have control, but let's say that you have a bit of an episode of hyperventilation.
Having been the one that asked Methuselah to translate it, Seeker's gonna notice, and they're gonna go up to Methuselah. Methuselah, are you alright?
Yes. Well, this plaque, it's a warning of sorts, and it sort of it hails the Dark Warden, the dragon, the black dragon that kept me prisoner for I don't even know how long, but it seems that there was a priest entombed here as a sort of punishment, sort of. But it's strange to see this sort of mention of the Dark Warden in such decay.
Oh, I'm really sorry. That's not somebody that I would think that they should be followed. That's terrifying. I'm sorry, Methuselah.
Well, it is the whole empire, so there's, a whole kingdom of people that follow the dragons.
That is fair. You're right.
Do an intelligence check for me, please.
So you get your bardic inspiration back.
There must be an empire of people who worship dragons somewhere, just like the one from the tales that you know for a fact is centuries old. But hey, maybe somewhere far.
I find it so, ironic because I've literally talked about the Dragon Empire and been like, oh yes, that's now. And then every time anyone rolls intelligence to prove me wrong, no one gets right.
I'm just gonna pretend I didn't hear that.
Nobody did well in history class.
In terms of, because we're in the proximity of Methuselah, talking, could Thorn also roll an intelligence check?
Sure, and Mortis, do you want to do it too?
No, I feel like Mortis is less concerning the historical implications. He's more worried about Methuselah.
Thorn got a 13.
For Thorn, you would remember stories around the fireplace about this evil place that bred the boogeyman to chase after creatures and to take those who were bad and made their goblin mothers worry. This place was an evil, evil place that lived at the top of the mountains that your tribe would frequent the region of, but never get close to the mountains, for they were fabled to be evil for your tribe, as it would go from place to place, and you guys would survive. So you, in your little thorny brain, kinda remember that maybe what Methuselah is talking about could be connected to this evil place, but this evil place died a long time ago. It's just the boogeyman that appears as evil dead things to catch the bad goblin babies.
Thorn is gonna look to Methuselah with a kind of puzzled look and go, the evil in mountains, and the place
far up above a tribe, was not been alive for a very long time.
Well, I don't know about that one. But the Dragon Empire is quite real, quite extensive. But not all the dragons, I imagine, are sort of out and about, considering that there might be a rebellion on the rise in some aspects.
Mortis and Seeker, please, the two of you roll a history check.
Seeker got a 19.
Mortis got a 6.
I love that Mortis just believes everything that Methuselah says.
A 6 is exactly the AC that I was thinking.
It is pretty big.
When Methuselah talks about an active rebellion against dragons, your brains click in. And it is common knowledge, especially to any who lives in Destry, the Dragonborn of the lands, of the mountains lands, boasts that their origins came from the Draconic Empire and that they won their freedom from being subservient of the dragons. They were created by the dragons, allegedly, and they only became a society, a people, when they fought against the dragons, and it brought the empire down. Of course that there is only a few things that could maybe prove this alliteration of their history, or it could all be a myth that there was a Draconic Empire because of all these castles and statues and stuff, but that the Dragonborn had nothing to do with it. There's not enough studies, per se, to prove this mythos, this history, this mythology of the Dragonborn. But if anything makes sense for you guys right now, is that this story is the origins of the Dragonborn. Something that the Dragonborn has been around for at least 300 plus years, as far as you guys know. So, if this is what Methuselah is referring to, this is like centuries old history that he's saying that it's still happening nowadays.
Greetings! You have reached the end of the episode of the Sunless Citadel. Thank you so much for listening. Subscribe to us on whatever app you use to listen to podcasts. And be sure to catch your next installment of the Sunless Citadel every Thursday at 12 p.m. EST. If you'd like the show, please consider leaving a review. It's a small way to show your support that goes a long way. To connect with us, follow our social media accounts. And if you would like to support us, you can head over to our Patreon as well to join the conversation, view sneak peeks of our next project, and discover our fantastic bonus content. Our intro score was created by Patrick Horton from Off the Beaten Path musical. The Sunless Citadel can be found in Tales from the Yawning Portal by Wizards of the Coast. The world of Nosso Mondus was created by Pedro Stockler. Thanks again for listening from all of us here at the Storyteller's Tavern.